Welcome back. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shubham.
And I'm Hem Korsaro, and on the show today, in a move to rebuild Syria after the fall of the Assad government, Ahmad al-Shara, the de facto ruler, has now been hosting high-level talks with envoys from West Asia and beyond. We will get to the latest on this on the show.
Also on World DNA, France has unveiled a new government, the fourth for the year, led by Prime Minister François Bayrou. We will get you the latest on the new appointments in France government. This and a lot more lined up for you. Let's start with the headlines.
Israeli Defense Minister for the first time acknowledges that Israel killed former Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran in July as he vows to target the leadership of Yemen's Houthi rebels.
Zelensky claims over 3,000 North Korean soldiers have been killed or have been wounded fighting against Ukraine's incursion in Russia's Kursk region, warns of risks of North Korea sending additional troops to the Russian army.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says Syrian Kurdish YPG militia has no place in Syria's future, warns that Turkey will continue its targeted operations against the group.
Iranian singer Parastu Ahmadi, who refused to wear a hijab and was arrested for not adhering to the strict Islamic dress code, has been freed on bail. Singer appeared in a court in Tehran where she was charged and released.
French President Emmanuel Macron names a new government, putting together a team under François Bayrou, his fourth Prime Minister of the year, to pull the second largest EU economy out of a political crisis.
Former US President Bill Clinton admitted to hospital after developing fever. His deputy chief of staff says the 78-year-old was admitted to Georgetown University Medical Center for testing and observation.
US expresses concern over sentencing of 25 people by a Pakistani military court after it found them guilty of targeting army installations, calls upon Pakistan authorities to respect the right to a fair trial.
Hawaii's Kilauea volcano sends lava gushing to the surface in its latest eruption. Videos show enormous fissures spraying jets of molten rock into air. Red alert issued for the area with concerns of volcanic gas.
England Test captain Ben Stokes has been ruled out of all cricket for at least 3 months. The 33-year-old requires surgery on a torn left hamstring.
France has unveiled a new government, which happens to be the fourth for this year.
Right, led by Prime Minister François Bayrou. The government includes members of the outgoing Conservative-dominated team and some new figures from the centrist or left-leaning backgrounds.
Now, the priority for Bayrou is to make sure his government can survive a no-confidence vote and that it passes a cost-cutting budget for 2025. The difficult job of delivering a budget plan falls to Eric Lombard, the new economy minister. He is the head of a CDD, which is the investment arm of the French government. In his first statements, Lombard acknowledged the difficulty of the task he has been entrusted with.
Je sais la difficulté de la tâche I know the difficulty of the task. I recognize the progress made and we'll retake the torches and continue serving in the public interest. But first of all, I really want to thank you and tell you of that the admiration that I have for the work accomplished and a certain amount of courage for having accepted this responsibility in these difficult times. I think I'm well placed to gauge.
Là aussi, je pense être bien placé pour le mesurer.
Former Prime Minister Elizabeth Bone has been named Education Minister. Another former Prime Minister, Manuel Valls, has returned as Overseas Territories Minister, while former Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin became Justice Minister. Both Defence Minister Sebastian Lecornu and Foreign Minister Jean-Noel Barrot kept their jobs. Conservative Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau, who has vowed to crack down on illegal immigration, also stayed in his post.
Parliament is in recess until the 13th of January. Once lawmakers return, however, Beru and his team will likely be living day to day under the constant threat of a no-confidence motion. Beru said he will encourage parliamentary debate and steer clear from using the controversial 49(3) clause to barrel legislation through Parliament to move that triggered a no-confidence motion against his predecessor, Michael Barnier.
Well, I am convinced that the direction that I am laying out in front of you and the governing team will ensure that we will not be voted out by a no-confidence motion.
And in a move to rebuild Syria after the fall of the Assad government, Ahmed al-Shara, the de facto ruler, has been hosting high-level talks with envoys from West Asia and beyond.
Now, the bilateral talks come ahead of his key announcement on the new structure of defense ministry and the Syrian military. Syria's new leader held talks with senior Arab diplomats from Jordan and Qatar, expressing support for the Syrian people and discussing future cooperation.
This is the latest high-profile visit since Assad's government collapsed. Al-Shara said that Qatar has expressed its readiness to invest in Syria in sectors including energy and ports. In fact, the Syrian leader has invited Qatar's emir to visit Syria.
The Qatari side has voiced its readiness to begin large-scale investments on Syrian lands in all fields, most importantly in the energy sector, where they have a high level of expertise on the global stage, but also investing in ports and airports and so forth. I believe the next stage will be one of exceptional growth and Qatar's participation in it will be active and targeted with God's will.
Even as the new Syrian ruler tries to unite the country and form a new government, protests for an inclusive government have taken center stage. Thousands of women rallied in the northeastern Syrian city of Qamishli. They demanded the new Islamist rulers in Damascus to respect women's rights and to condemn Turkish-backed military campaigns in Kurdish-led regions of the north. Many of the protesters waved the green flag of the Women's Protection Units, an affiliate of the Kurdish People's Protection Units militia, which Turkey deems a national security threat and wants disbanded immediately. There is widespread apprehension among Syrians that the new Damascus administration will gravitate towards hardline Islamist rule eventually, and that will marginalize the minorities and women from public life.
اليوم كافة النساء الجزيرة في مقاطعة الجزيرة من كرد وعرب وسريان يطالبون بأصواتهم بصوت واحد. نعم لمساندة قوات حماية المرأة يبهجة، نعم لصون وحفاظ على حقوق ومكتسبات ثورة المرأة في شمال وشرق سوريا. اليوم نحن نحافظ على كافة مكتسبات شمال شرق سوريا بالمطالبة على حرية وحقوق النساء بأجمع بدون تمييز وتفرقة.
نطالب بحقوق المرأة من الدولة الجديدة، الدولة السورية الجديدة، ويجب عدم إقصاء المرأة من الحرية في هذا النظام، ونندد وندين هجمات الاحتلال التركي على مدينة كوبان.
The British-born wife of deposed Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is not seeking a divorce, and this is what the Kremlin spokesperson has now confirmed.
Denying all the previous claims, now earlier reports in Turkish and Arabic news suggested that Asma Assad wanted to end her marriage and leave Russia, where currently the Assad family has been granted asylum after the rebel forces overthrew the former president's regime. When asked about the reports in a news conference call, Dmitry Peskov said, I'm quoting here, "No, they do not correspond to reality." He also denied reports that Assad had been confined to Moscow and that his property assets had been frozen. Born to Syrian parents, 48-year-old Asma Assad was raised in Acton, West London. She moved to Syria in 2000 and has 3 children with Assad. The report suggested that she wanted a divorce after expressing dissatisfaction with her new life in Moscow and that she hoped to return to London for cancer treatment. In May, it was revealed that she had been diagnosed with leukemia, having previously been treated for breast cancer between 2018 to 2019. Although Asma Assad is still a British citizen, Foreign Secretary David Lammy has said that she was no longer welcome in the nation, suggesting that she might soon lose her UK passport.
As part of an EU sanctions program that British governments have continued since Brexit, Asma Assad's UK assets were frozen in March 2012 as demonstrations against her husband's rule grew. The Metropolitan Police in 2021 opened a preliminary investigation into allegations that she incited and aided war crimes committed by the Assad regime's forces during Syria's 13-year civil war. In 2020, the US imposed sanctions on Asma Assad, her parents and her 2 brothers, and Mike Pompeo. With Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State at the time, describing her as one of Syria's most notorious war profiteers.
Now, the ongoing war in Israel, it's taken a toll not only on the battlefield but also back at home.
As the Israeli reserve system stretches to its limits, the families of IDF reservists are struggling to cope with the mental, emotional and economic burdens. Reservists have been called up for extended tours of duty, sometimes with little notice. For their families, this means months of uncertainty, strain and sacrifice. Many wives are juggling careers, households and children alone while their partners serve on the front lines.
We have been standing here for a month and a half, asking for help from our brothers who live here to come and lend a hand, a shoulder, share the burden with those who have been in reserves for endless days, weeks and months.
Now, the constant rotation of deployments has left families without routine. Children miss their parents and spouses, shoulder both emotional and financial burdens.
Many have had to leave jobs to care for their children, full-time or simply because the stress is overwhelming. The issue is made worse by policies that extend reservists' age exemptions while keeping certain sectors like the ultra-Orthodox community out of active service. Families feel that the burden is unevenly distributed, with the same small group bearing the brunt of the nation's defense needs.
Statistically, it makes sense that in any society, there will be a certain percentage of people suited for combat roles. This is why the focus on the ultra-Orthodox community here is greater. Ultimately, if only 7% from such an important community that is an integral part of a society, we are still far from reaching the statistical potential that could be available for combat roles. And we need fighters.
Military and civilian leaders warn that this system is unsustainable. Reservists have careers, families and responsibilities outside military. If this weight isn't shared more broadly, many fear a collapse in the reserve system itself.
In South Korea, the past weekend saw a fresh round of protests against the country's President Yoon Suk-yeol,
who has been, of course, at the epicenter of controversy ever since he briefly imposed martial law in the country.
Thousands gathered in Seoul again, urging authorities to officially officially remove Yoon Suk-yeol from presidency and arrest him. At a short distance from the protest, there was a rally of Yoon supporters as well, who staged a demonstration against the president's impeachment.
I never imagined I would come out to this rally. But despite the cold weather, everyone has come out to fill this place. I hope that the message is conveyed.
Now, South Korea has been at the epicenter of a political crisis ever since December 3rd, when the president briefly ordered martial law in the country before rolling it back after severe criticism. Yoon faced 2 impeachment motions and was impeached in the second vote over a week ago. For now, the Yoon's presidential powers have been suspended by the court, but the court is yet to decide if he will be formally removed from the presidency.
For days, thousands of South Koreans have been out on the streets demanding that Yoon Suk-yeol be officially ousted from power. If the Constitutional Court dismissed the president, a national election has to be held within 60 days to choose Yoon Suk-yeol's successor.
And in a tense day in Mozambique, the country faces the possibility of a fresh wave of protests after the court validated the ruling party's claim to victory in October elections.
Till now, the result had been under dispute. Judges of the Constitutional Council, which is Mozambique's highest court, have confirmed that ruling party presidential candidate Daniel Chapo has secured 65% of the vote. The election result earlier said that Chapo secured 71% vote share. The streets in Mozambique's capital, Maputo, were largely empty, but the atmosphere remains tense as many fear a deadly unrest in the country again after a few days of an eerie calm.
Earlier, opposition leader and independent candidate had vowed chaos in the country if the court confirms the ruling Frelimo party as the winner. The Southern African nation held presidential and parliamentary polls on October 9th. Then on October 24th, Mozambique's poll body declared ruling Frelimo party candidate Daniel Chapo as the winner. Opposition denounced the poll mandate, as did thousands of citizens. Post-election violence was the deadliest in Mozambique. The announcement triggered a wave of protests and brutal clashes with the police that continued for weeks. As tensions flared, authorities detained close to 4,000 people. The anti-government protests have killed at least 103 people.
Donald Trump is less than 4 weeks away from taking charge at the Oval Office.
And as he continues to assemble his core cabinet, he has hit back at criticisms of Democrats that Elon Musk is eyeing presidency.
Well, this report looks at Trump's friends, family and business who are to come in. Take a look.
Trump's nominations and his team have raised eyebrows. From having the world's richest man to his family members in top spots, Trump is shaping up his presidency. Our next story takes a look at Trump's friends, family and politics. Less than a month away from taking the reins of the Oval Office, President-elect Donald Trump is assembling a core team that blurs the lines between politics, family and business.
Nice to win the election.
Trump is defending his unconventional choices while brushing aside criticisms. Trump hit back at accusations that billionaire Elon Musk is the real power behind the US president-elect.
But no, he's not going to be president, that I can tell you. And I'm safe, you know why? He can't be. He wasn't born in this country. But the fake news knows that.
Democrats have derided Musk's prominent role in the transition, dubbing him President Musk and accusing Trump of ceding control. Trump has hit back, asserting that he alone will steer his administration, despite Musk's visible presence in shaping policies and appointments. Donald Trump's latest appointments are raising eyebrows as family connections take the spotlight. Ivanka Trump's father-in-law, Charles Kushner, has been named ambassador to France, while Tiffany Trump's father-in-law, Massad Boulos, steps into a role as Middle East advisor. Experts say that these picks reflect Trump's hallmark leadership style, prioritizing loyalty and familial ties over traditional expertise. Interestingly, two key family members have decided to step away from the political spotlight. Ivanka Trump, a defining figure during her father's presidency, has announced she will focus on her family rather than re-enter politics. She is not alone. Now Lara Trump has withdrawn from Senate considerations, though Lara says she had a big announcement to share in January without giving further details. As Trump prepares to assume office as the 47th President of the United States, his cabinet choices and Musk's influence spotlight a presidency that promises to challenge conventional political boundaries. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
A horrific act of violence shakes New York. A woman died after being set on fire inside a subway train in Brooklyn.
Well, it gets worse than that. The attack, described by the city's police commissioner as depraved beyond comprehension, raises urgent questions about subway safety. The tragedy unfolded on Sunday afternoon. Here's how it all played out. It happened on a stationary train. The victim was seated alone. She was approached by a man who, without warning, set her clothes alight. The images are too horrifying to be shown on television, so we will not be showing them here. New York City Police Commissioner explains the horrifying incident. Listen to this.
It was just before 7:30 this morning when our person of interest and the victim were both riding an F train to the end of the line at Stillwell Avenue in Brooklyn. As the train pulled into the station, the suspect calmly walked up to the victim, who was in a seated position at the end of a subway car. The suspect used what we believe to be a lighter to ignite the victim's clothing, which became fully engulfed in a matter of seconds. Officers who were on patrol on an upper level of that station smelled and saw smoke and went to investigate. What they saw was a person standing inside the train car, fully engulfed in flames. With the help of an MTA employee and a fire extinguisher, the flames were put out. Unfortunately, it was too late, and the victim was pronounced on the scene.
The suspect, identified as a migrant from Guatemala, has been arrested. He had previously entered the United States in 2018 through Arizona. Authorities are still trying to determine his immigration status. New York police is still investigating the motive behind this gruesome attack. No charges have been registered yet. Police say they are still investigating the victim's identity and the reason behind the attack.
Now, incidents like this erode public confidence in the safety of one of New York's lifelines. Over 4 million people rely on the subway every day, that is. Yet 2024 has already seen a troubling increase in subway homicides compared to last year. For New Yorkers, this tragedy is a grim reminder of how quickly the ordinary can turn into the unthinkable. Calls for heightened security measures are growing louder as the city grapples with yet another senseless loss of life in this grave manner.
All right, it's time now to slip into a short break. But before we go, here's a look at all the climate stories making headlines today.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. In a year that reshaped the world, 2024 brought seismic shifts, bold moves, and unforgettable moments that will echo through history around the globe. Wars continued to ravage nations, but new alliances and power shifts began to rewrite the rules of geopolitics. 2024 also bore witness to nature's fury. Climate change fueled deadly wildfires, devastating floods and unprecedented storms. Devastating wars to technological revolutions. 2024 was the year that changed everything. The Game Changers 2024. The year that reshaped our future. Only on WION. World is one.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
In a year that reshaped the world, 2024 brought seismic shifts, bold moves, and unforgettable moments that will echo through history around the globe. Wars continued to ravage nations, but new alliances and power shifts began to rewrite the rules of geopolitics. 2024 also bore witness to nature's fury. Climate change fueled deadly wildfires, devastating floods and unprecedented storms. Devastating wars to technological revolutions. 2024 was the year that changed everything. The Game Changers 2024. The year that reshaped our future. Only on WION. World is one.
vielleicht nur aus dem Ausland.
Back, viewers. Thank you so much for coming right back. Lots more lined up for you on this side of the show as well. This is World DNA with Haim and I'm Shivan. Let's start with the headlines.
Israeli Defense Minister threatens to kill the Houthi leaders in response to ongoing missile attacks by the Yemeni rebels. Says Houthis will meet the same fate as other members of Iranian-backed alliance across region.
South Korea's military says it has detected signs of North Korea preparing to send more troops and weapons, including suicide drones, to Russia to support its war against Ukraine.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says Syrian Kurdish YPG militia has no place in Syria's future, warns that Turkey will continue its targeted operations against the group.
French President Emmanuel Macron names a new government, putting together a team under François Bayrou, his fourth Prime Minister of the year, to pull the second largest EU economy out of political crisis.
U.S. House Ethics Committee finds the former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz paid tens of thousands of dollars to women for drugs and sex, including with a 17-year-old girl. U.S. media cites final draft of panel's report.
U.S. expresses concern over sentencing of 25 people by a Pakistani military court after it found them guilty of targeting army installations, calls upon Pakistani authorities to respect the right to a fair trial.
U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan speaks with Bangladesh Interim Government's Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus, expressing commitment to protecting human rights of all people, regardless of religion.
Fresh spell of heavy snowfall in Himachal Pradesh. Manali leaves around 1,000 vehicles stuck and tourists stranded in their vehicles between Solang and Atal Tunnel. Around 700 tourists rescued.
England Test captain Ben Stokes has been ruled out of all cricket for at least 3 months. The 33-year-old requires surgery on a torn left hamstring. All right, starting with news from Bangladesh, trouble continues to rise for ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina as she faces fresh corruption probe.
Bangladesh's Anti-Corruption Commission has launched an investigation into the alleged $5 billion embezzlement connected to a Russian-backed nuclear power plant by Hasina and her family. Along with Hasina, those subjected to the inquiry include her son Sajib Wajid Joy and niece Tulip Siddiqui and a British lawmaker and government minister. Key allegations are connected to the funding of the $12.65 billion nuclear power plant, the South Asian country's first, which is bankrolled by Moscow with a 90% loan.
A special team has been formed to examine the allegations of questionable procurement practices related to the overpriced construction of the plant. However, there has been no immediate response neither from Hasina nor her party. The ousted premier has been living in India ever since she fled Bangladesh amid massive protests that brought down her 16-year-old government.
The interim Bangladesh government has written a diplomatic note to India. Dhaka has urged New Delhi to send Sheikh Hasina back to Bangladesh for the judicial process. However, India has refused to comment on Hasina's extradition.
Remember, the Dhaka-based International Crimes Tribunal has issued arrest warrants to Hasina and her ministers, advisors and former military and civil officials. It has accused them of crimes against humanity and genocide.
On the other hand, Jatiya Nagorik Committee, known as National Citizens Committee, is set to form a new political party in Bangladesh. The new party, led by anti-discrimination student movement and Jatiya Nagorik Committee, is expected to be formed by February next year. Prayagraj is gearing up to host the Mahakumbh Mela, spiritual gathering of unprecedented scale.
With millions of pilgrims expected, the city is undergoing a massive transformation from new lighting systems to stunning murals. Here's how Prayagraj is being beautified for this event. Our special correspondent, Johan Castell, gets you this report. Take a look.
One of the largest religious gatherings in India, the Mahakumbh, is celebrated as a significant event of faith and spirituality. As the countdown to Mahakumbh 2025 begins, the city of Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh is undergoing an extensive restoration drive to accommodate the needs of tens of thousands of devotees from around the world.
We are at the site in Prayagraj where they are preparing for the Kumbh Mela, and with an estimated 150,000 tents that will be set up on the riverbanks of the rivers meeting in Prayagraj, there are a lot of different things that needs to be taken into account with infrastructure, everything from roads to power to sanitation, and of course lighting.
Evolving into a vibrant canvas of culture, art and innovation, the Uttar Pradesh administration is leaving no stone unturned to create an unforgettable experience for the millions of visitors. From lighting up the streets to painting the walls, the city is being transformed into a visual and spiritual paradise. As part of the beautification initiative, around 67,000 LED streetlights and 2,000 solar hybrid lights are being installed across the site.
When we came in here in the morning, it was so bright. You can see all these different LED lights in these panels. There's so many of them and they are super, super bright. So it definitely feels like the whole Kumbh Mela setup this time around is a much more modern one. It's like we're coming in and seeing a whole new generation of technology that has been applied.
Even the street walls of Prayagraj have turned into a vast canvas, with mythological artworks enhancing the city's landscape. Over 70 artists are working tirelessly to paint large murals across the city.
हर तरह की पेंटिंग्स है, उसमें आपका जैसे बर्ड्स, एनिमल्स और आपका आध्यात्मिक लगभग हर थीम यहाँ दी जा रही है कि कहीं से भी कोई भी पर्सन अगर मेले में आ रहा है तो यहाँ पर हमारी पेंटिंग्स को देखकर एक अलग सा अट्रैक्शन उनके मन में हो.
When I spoke with one of the painters, I asked him what was the budget for this whole beautification drive across Prayagraj. He told me that it is over 50 crore Indian rupees, or about $5.8 million. He told me that there is no expense spared in making sure that this Kumbh Mela is a grand event.
With preparations like these, the city of Prayagraj is coming alive for the grand and divine event of Mahakumbh 2025.
And Russia faces escalating hurdles in transporting commodities to China via its extensive Eastern rail network.
This indicates the mounting economic difficulties arising from the war and sanctions, notwithstanding the Kremlin's stability claims. Russian Railways decided last week to reduce its investment plans for next year. The state-owned carrier in charge of all rail travel decided to cut investments by 30% due to rising borrowing costs. And this is according to news agency TASS, quoting the country's transportation minister. Western sanctions are putting a strain on cross-border payments. The surge in war-related shipments is making things even worse. Goods like coal, aluminium are taking longer to be transported due to these reasons and other persistent logistical challenges. These incidents highlight the internal conflicts in Russia at a time when the war in Ukraine is about to enter its third year.
To calm down an overheated economy, which President Vladimir Putin has assured the public is in good shape, the central bank left its benchmark interest rate at a record 21% on Friday.
The war, which is now about to enter its fourth year, it's about to complete 3 years. Putin, during his annual call-in on December 19, said everything is based on the economy. The situation is normal, stable, despite any external threats and sanctions, while noting that inflation is worrying. He added that GDP may grow by about 4% this year, higher than in many Western countries, while unemployment is at a record low.
Things are looking less than ideal for Russian railways. As a result of sanctions, they are no longer able to use the carriers' public markets where they once borrowed money for investments. Government support is also minimal due to Moscow's funds reallocation to the war. Russian Railways freight volume declined 5.2% through November from a year ago.
Apple's stock market valuation is on the verge of hitting a historic $4 trillion following a 16% jump in shares since early November.
Now, this surge has added approximately $500 billion to its market capitalization, bringing it to $3.85 trillion as of the latest close.
Apple's growth has outpaced both Nvidia and Microsoft, making it the front runner in the race towards the monumental milestone. The rally in Apple shares is largely attributed to investor enthusiasm surrounding the company's advancements in artificial intelligence, alongside expectations of an iPhone super cycle. Analysts also forecast a rebound in iPhone sales by 2025, which further fuels investor optimism. The company's integration of OpenAI's ChatGPT into its devices and its broader plans to incorporate generative AI technology into its apps are contributing to its newfound momentum. While Apple has faced criticism for its slow entry into the AI space, its recent developments are now helping drive expectations of a major iPhone sales boost.
Currently, Apple's market cap dwarfs the combined value of Germany and Switzerland's main stock markets, reinforcing its dominant position in the tech industry. Despite the impressive market gains, Apple faces challenges. This includes potential tariffs on its products if US President-elect Donald Trump follows through on his promise of imposing tariffs on goods from China. However, analysts believe that Apple will likely secure exclusions for key products like iPhones, MacBooks and iPads. As of now, Apple's price-to-earnings ratio stands at 33.5, a 3-year high, reflecting strong market confidence. And here's a look at developments from the world of technology. A report given by Crypto Pre-Sales, a platform that provides reports of crypto and finance, has revealed that cyber criminals have stolen more than $12.7 billion between 2014 to 2024. Well, according to the report, 1.71 billion was taken this year alone. Although this year there has been a slight drop in the number of heists, the scale of thefts has grown dramatically over the past decade. As per data, over 75% occurred in the last 4 years, with 2022 and 2023 witnessing the highest amount of crypto hacks. The most common crimes include system hacks, smart contract exploits, and flash loan attacks, which together account for over 65% of all crypto-related thefts. Experts warn that these crimes remain a major challenge for regulators.
Police in Singapore are investigating a scam website disguised as a government portal. The fake website fooled citizens by pretending to offer government financial support schemes. As per reports, victims received SMS links to a fake support GoWare website, prompting them to enter personal and credit card details. They were also tricked into providing bank authentication codes. Reports further suggest that around 20 fraudulent sites connected to the scam have been discovered, with more than 600 dormant sites believed to be linked to the same perpetrators. A new global survey conducted by Counterpoint Research reveals that 59% of people are planning to buy a generative AI-enabled smartphone by the end of 2025. And this growing trend is seen strongest in the US, followed by Germany and France. Generative AI, known for its applications in writing assistance, document editing and research, is gaining widespread popularity. While 32% of users are familiar with Gen AI, 73% of them have already used it on smartphones. But despite growing interest, only 19% are willing to pay a premium for generative AI phones, suggesting manufacturers might need to rethink their strategy and offer more affordable models to tap into this demand.